Right now at noon, at least 12 people are dead from Hurricane Michael, and officials say that number is expected to rise. And the Milwaukee Brewers are taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers in Game 1 of the NLCS. We'll tell you who's expected to take the mound tonight in Milwaukee.
This is News 3 at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 on this Friday afternoon. We'll get to those stories in a bit, but first, let's head over to the Weather Center. Meteorologist Chris Reese has a look at your first alert forecast. I think they'll have the roof closed at Miller Park tonight in Milwaukee.
I think so. It's been chilly now. I'll be honest. My windows have been open. I like it cold at night, and I'm not running the AC, so I will take it. But nonetheless, it's been a chilly day out there. Lows this morning started out right around 35 degrees here in Madison. So we didn't quite hit that freeze, although tonight we have another potential that's a little bit stronger than it was last night. But temperatures mainly in the mid-30s for those lows this morning. We zoomed things out across the upper Midwest as a whole. Check this out. Oh my goodness. 18 degrees in Fargo, North Dakota for that low, 21 and more. So you see the true nature of some of that colder air that's in place. Temperatures really have not moved all that much. So we've warmed up 3 degrees here in Madison today, and a lot of folks are still into the low and mid 30s. The reason for that, we've had a lot of cloud cover. That cloud cover acts as a blanket that keeps us warm at night, but that keeps us cool as we go through the day. And that's the reason temperatures have not really responded here. The clouds out there right now over the Capitol, and those temperatures right at 38. But here's one of the things that I like to look at. Sometimes we're in the patterns of weather where you can look at the dew point at noon, and that dew point at noon is a good indicator of where your low is overnight. That dew point is at 29, and I think we have a nice shot of seeing that for our low. The air is cold. A lot of that snow that you're seeing on radar, that's Virga. It's evaporating before it hits the ground. But we do have an alert day out there for tonight. I do think a frost and a hard freeze will have a better shot of occurring tonight, especially if we can get those clouds to clear.
It's supposed to be in the 60s this time of year.
It is supposed to be in the 60s. So we have jumped literally from summer earlier this week when I got back from North Carolina to winter. So it's an adjustment, but we'll moderate.
I like it cool too.
Absolutely.
Not quite this cool, but we'll take what we get, right?
Yes, we sure will.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
In our news today, more weather. Hurricane Michael is now blamed for at least 12 deaths, and it's feared that number will rise. Rescuers are searching for more victims in Florida's Panhandle, while people in Virginia and the Carolinas are dealing with flooding again. Hillary Lane has the latest from Panama City Beach, Florida.
Search and rescue crews are going door to door in Mexico Beach, Florida, looking for survivors. The Category 4 hurricane caused so much devastation, the once sleepy tourist town is practically unrecognizable.
This area is not going to be back to normal for a long time.
People are still being warned to stay away.
When you have that type of damage, it takes some time to get in and actually go through and do the search and rescue.
Many Mexico Beach residents rode out the storm despite mandatory evacuation orders.
When the water started coming up, I was more scared there than any time I've ever been scared in my life. I could cry to think about it because I didn't know it was going to stop. And and I'm thinking, what'll happen if it gets over our head?
Just up the coast in Panama City Beach, Hurricane Michael leveled this family-owned shopping center.
It's unreal.
A longtime employee returned to see the damage.
You gotta bite your tongue and your lip and everything and just carry on.
Michael caused massive flooding in Virginia and the Carolinas.
Some of the people that live back here, they're devastated. I mean, that's just where their home is.
This trailer park in Salem Village, Virginia is underwater, and several people in the region were rescued Thursday night when floodwaters swamped their vehicles. Hillary Lane, CBS News, Panama City Beach, Florida.
And Michael is now moving out to sea. Forecasters say the storm is actually gaining strength again, but poses no new threat to land. A high-ranking American Catholic leader has stepped down in the scandal over sexual abuse by priests. Cardinal Donald Weir's 50-year career in the Catholic Church came to an end today with a letter from Pope Francis. In it, the Pope accepted World's resignation, but said there were sufficient elements for World to have resisted stepping down, saying there's a difference between covering up crimes and simply making a mistake. The summer World became entangled in 2 major sexual abuse and cover-up scandals. His name appears over 200 times in a Pennsylvania grand jury report accusing him of protecting some child molesting priests when he was Bishop of Pittsburgh. Paul Dorsch says he met with World in 1997 to report abuse he suffered when he was 13 years old.
He was very, very standoffish. I had a letter that I wanted him to read. He would not read it. He would not open it. He would not touch it.
Pope Francis calls Cardinal Wurz's decision as to step down noble. The Pope also asked World to stay on in an administrative role until a new Archbishop of Washington can be named. Stoughton Road is closed in both directions for the weekend because of a railroad crossing replacement project. The Department of Transportation says Stoughton Road is closed between East Washington Avenue and Highway 30 until 6 a.m. Monday morning. The railroad crossing there is being repaired after multiple drivers complained about its condition. Drivers in the area say the posted speed limit of 45 miles an hour is too high to safely cross the tracks. The detour will use East Washington Avenue, the interstate, and Highway 30. And the first game of the National League Championship Series is less than 8 hours away. The Milwaukee Brewers will be taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers at Miller Park. First pitch is set to happen at 7:09. It's on FS1. Milwaukee's Gio Gonzalez was named the starter for today's game. LA's Clayton Kershaw will take the mound for the Dodgers. The NLCS is a 7-game series. First team to win 4 games will move on to the World Series to take on the Houston Astros or the Boston Red Sox. And since the Milwaukee Brewers won the series against the Colorado Rockies last night, Miller Coors is giving free Miller Lite at area bars today. Miller Coors says they'll give free Miller Lite, 1 per person, from 3 to 5 p.m. before the Brewers take the field against the Los Angeles Dodgers. For a full list of places participating, head to channel3000.com. And a restaurant in Milwaukee is getting in on the push for the pennant. George Webb Restaurant says it'll give away free burgers next week. If the Milwaukee Brewers win tonight, it would be the team's 12th victory in a row. The restaurant's last giveaway was back in 1987 when the Brewers won 13 in a row to start the season. Again, the team plays the LA Dodgers 7 o'clock tonight in the first game of the National League Championship Series. Pretty exciting. Well, there's more to come on News 3 at noon. Up next, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
The main ingredient in today's dish is super versatile, and it's probably right in your pantry. What is it, and how are we going to make it different? From reading your emails, we know that many of you like anything with tuna in it. And when we recently made a super creamy tuna noodle casserole, we were blown away by how many of you went to MrFood.com to get the recipe. So to satisfy your endless appetite for tuna, we came up with the best tuna croquettes ever. All we do is drain and flake a large can of tuna and place it in a bowl, along with a good amount of mashed potatoes, some frozen peas that we've thawed, some finely chopped red onion, a bit of breadcrumbs, a touch of spicy mustard, a beaten egg, and a little salt and pepper. After gently mixing this together, we shape it into patties just like we would when we're making a burger. Now, we coat these with some breadcrumbs before pan frying them in a bit of oil. When they're golden and heated through, they are ready to serve. We can even make these ahead of time and simply heat them in the toaster oven or oven whenever we want. Maybe top them with our homemade lemon dill sauce, and are you ever in for a doubly good treat? So here's what I suggest. Go online and get the recipe for our home-style tuna croquettes, along with our lemon dill sauce, so you can shake up your dinner or lunch routine with something new. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a family-friendly way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, Howard, thank you. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. Up next, another cloudy and chilly day across southern Wisconsin. Meteorologist Chris Reese will have your weekend forecast when we come back. Our call for action phone bank is open right now, ready to take on your consumer issues. The number is 608-270-2222. 2833. Wall Street rallies back and the odds for a near record Mega Millions jackpot. Diane King Hall has more in today's Money Watch report.
After a two-day bloodbath on Wall Street, stocks rallied in early trading. The rise in U.S. markets followed gains in overseas trading as investors went bargain hunting. In the earnings lineup, JPMorgan Chase released its quarterly report card. The nation's biggest bank says profit totaled $8.38 billion during the third quarter. That was better than expected. Profit in consumer banking, its biggest division, soared 60% thanks to growing deposits. CEO Jamie Dimon says the unit drew in a record amount of fresh cash. Facebook says it purged more than 800 pages and accounts that spammed users. The social networking giant says the spam was designed to mislead users and often spread, quote, sensational political content that sent people to websites outside of Facebook. The company says the pages it removed fell on both sides of the political spectrum. The third largest jackpot in Mega Millions history is being eyed today. The estimated haul is now $548 million. The pot has been growing since July 24th. The odds are long for winning. Players who buy $2 tickets have a 1 in 302.5 million chance of hitting all 6 numbers. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
All right, Diane, thank you. The Dow Industrials up 77 points at the noon hour. The NASDAQ up 85. Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee out of the radio barn today. So here are your farm numbers. Well, Chris is here now. An alert day since we didn't freeze last night. It's another freeze warning.
That's right. And so far, they haven't issued another freeze warning, but that potential is certainly there for temperatures to drop into the upper 20s tonight. So it is an alert day. Widespread frost will again be likely. That hard freeze is, of course, possible. Low temperatures this morning only made it to about 35 here in Madison. Take a look at our neighbors in Fargo, North Dakota. They made it to 18 degrees. Thank goodness that we were not that cold yet. I know the day is coming, but we are going to take time to enjoy what is known as fall out there, although temperatures have been very much on the extreme side. A lot of folks are still in the lower 30s, just to our north upper 30s, as you work your way further towards the southern half of the state. The reason temperatures haven't been able to move all that much is just because we've had a lot of cloud cover in play. That cloud cover is kind of helping keep temperatures on the cooler side. Here's a look at that cloud cover outside over the Capitol right now, and we are at 38 degrees. But if you heard me just a few minutes ago at the top of the show, I mentioned that the dew point right around noon is oftentimes a good indicator of where your overnight low will drop, assuming there are no cold fronts coming through between now and our overnight low, which there aren't. So that's a good indicator that we'll see our lows drop into the upper 20s. Winds out there are still coming out of the north and west at about 6 miles per hour here in town. That means we actually have a little bit of a wind chill to talk about. That is at 33, so it feels like 1 degree above freezing here in town. Doppler track, if you've been following the radar, has kind of been showing this indication of some flurries back to our west. But we've had a lot of that dry air in place, so that's not reaching the ground. We call this virga. It's essentially all evaporating. Farther to the south, We have seen some reports of some flurries and drizzle today, but that has not, of course, been in our area. We've essentially got a system, and that's gradually working its way on by. We're going to see this impact parts of the Ohio Valley as it moves in, but high pressure, that's what's going to stay in control tonight, keeping us cool. Then we'll have a warm front come through into Saturday. That's our next little spike of warmth before a cold front slides its way on through with a wave of low pressure developing along it. That'll likely bring snows to parts of Kansas and Iowa. And some of the models have hinted that we could see a flurry or two as we go into Sunday night. We'll watch that. I'm not too sold on it, so we're going to keep that dry as of now. But tonight, once we get the clouds to clear, watch how temperatures drop on out. Upper 20s for a lot of folks tonight. Then tomorrow, we'll get a southerly wind that takes over. That's where we could actually see temperatures closer towards 50 degrees. But temperatures are going to be staying below average as we go through the next 6 to 10 days. But with temperatures on the cool side, we are also going to see things much drier than they have been. And this is the recipe we want to see. We want to see those cool temperatures along with dry weather for those fall colors to really take off. They are, of course, peaking across the northern tier of the state. Down here across the south, we are starting to see more and more of those fall colors respond to what it should look like. A lot of folks say their favorite color is October. We are going to get that underway. Of course, that rain has made that a little bit slow. Temperatures will likely stay in the upper 40s and low 50s for those highs a lot of days as we go through the next week. We will warm things up, though, as we get through the end of the next 10 days. There are signs of a little bit of a warming pattern as we transition into the cold season.
All right, well, we're getting there.
We are getting there. So it's cold right now. We should moderate to closer to what it should feel like towards the end of the next 10 days.
Right. So, Chris, thank you. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. Up next, a college athlete scores a promotional contract from a major corporation. We'll have his incredible journey when we come back. An inspiring 20-year-old athlete. He's following in the footsteps of Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, and LeBron James in a pair of Nikes. Carter Evans has the story.
Here it comes.
For Justin Gallegos, running seemed like an impossible dream. He was born with cerebral palsy, a neurological disorder that affects coordination and muscle movement.
Initially, when he started running, he was falling, and he'd have bloody knees, and 90% of the time he'd pick himself up and we'd finish the run.
Justin's dream wasn't just a run, but run fast. Despite his disability, he can do a 7-minute mile and now competes with the University of Oregon Running Club. All that put him on Nike's radar. This past weekend, at the end of a practice run, a company representative made a surprise announcement. Justin would be signed as an official Nike professional athlete.
I'm still kind of in shock that it actually happened.
On Instagram, he wrote, "You don't realize how realistic your dreams are until they play out before your very eyes."
I've never seen him that emotional. No. Running really kind of opened up the doors for him. You know, it gave him the opportunity to be on a team, to have friends, to be a part of something.
As the moment sinks in, Justin's reaction says it all.
It's been quite a ride, and it's only quite literally the beginning.
And he plans to keep making great strides through sheer will and determination. Carter Evans, CBS News, Los Angeles.
What an inspiration he is.
Absolutely a beautiful story there. Speaking of beautiful, that's going to be our weather through the next 7 to 10 days. No real chances for rain, but we'll see plenty of sunshine.
All right, that's our time for now. We'll see you back here at 4. Have a great afternoon.